Russia's food insecurity depends on the leadership of the times and reflects the policies implemented by those in leadership. Before classic Russian cuisine reached its peak in 1970, the diet was based on simple food determined naturally by the northern climate. The short summers encouraged pickling and preserving fruits and vegetables to last through the cold winters. Cabbages, mushrooms, and berries were made into pies and soups throughout the year. The preserving method of cabbage came from the Tatars when Russia was under their rule from 1240 to 1480. The cabbage was made into a kind of sauerkraut which was used to make chichi or cabbage soup along with bread and buckwheat groats, also known as kasha. This type of food provided vitamin C and was a part of the peasant cuisine. Religion also played a role in determining cuisine in that lots of fasting occurred during the 7 weeks before Easter, 40 days before Christmas, periods before the Feast of Assumption of the Virgin in August, and the Feast of Peter and Paul in June, most Wednesdays and Fridays. During these times, people gave up animal products like meat, eggs, and dairy, thus prompting the development of dishes that relied heavily on fruits, vegetables, grains, and fish. During Russia's expansion years, under the rule of such men like Ivan III, Ivan the Terrible, and later the Romanovs, outside contact from the rest of the world introduced rice, tea, spices, noodles, and potatoes, which potatoes became a staple of Russian cooking. Also, Russia's expansion into Central Asia and Caucasus introduced rice and lamb dishes and kebabs. Under Peter the Great's reign from 1689 to 1725, he opened up Russia to the west, which brought many European influences, most notably French, into upper-class Russian cuisine. With this openness, Russia was also able to lend many influences into the West, such as caviar, vodka, borscht, and beef stroganoff. By the time of the 1917 revolution, food insecurity wasn't an issue. The upper and middle class enjoyed the cuisine of past generations. Even the peasants were self-sufficient and lived off the land, enjoying a simple diet that did not lend itself to causing an issue. However, under communist rule, traditional Russian cuisine was in danger of being forgotten because mothers were forced into the workforce, which limited their ability to pass down those traditions. The communist government rearranged the entire agricultural industry by putting an emphasis on domestic heavy industry rather than imported consumer goods and self-sufficiency. The new design was to support large farming enterprises in order to produce a wider variety of food products that feed the urban population. Food production increased faster than the total population growth, killing private farming industry and creating an entire country dependent on the large farms. This type of dependency created a system that gave rise to the food insecurity that is still felt today. When the Soviet Union fell in 1991, those large farms that were dependent on that government decreased in production, which exacerbated food insecurity. So it was up to Yeltsin to create policies to feed the population. He opened the trade policy to encourage food imports. However, because those imported goods were cheaper and better than domestic goods from the large farm enterprises, it further decimated the farms. Then, those large farms struggled to combat their competitors because their capital fell too fast. They could not afford to invest in better machinery. But fear not, there is a rainbow of hope. The agricultural structure changed to households producing the most food because the first half of the 90s, rural households were able to expand their land holdings and production. Even urban dwellers with dachas, also known as second homes, increased output. But alas, the consequences of decreased production from those large farms still created problems with food insecurity. Russia's largest cities imported 70% of their food, which led to the dietary structure being changed. Per capita food consumption decreased from 3,505 calories to 2,100 calories. Russians ate less meat and dairy and more bread and potatoes, which dropped the demand for proteins, reflecting the decrease in per capita consumption of meat and meat products. The Yeltsin era from 1991 to 1999 left the agricultural sector in chaos. Overall, the glory of Russian cuisine enjoyed by middle and upper class in the 19th century is still unimaginable today. Problems with the agricultural sector, which stems from the Soviet switch to large farm dependency and limit of imported goods, led to the decline in many types of food, which gave rise to the food security that is still felt today.